Let's take you to Syria now, following reports of an attack on a government building. Let's listen in to what officials are saying. All right, let's bring you actually an update on that. And we understand a drone has hit the Aleppo governorate building. We understand this is a Syrian Democratic Forces drone. It comes at a time of intense fighting between the Syrian army and the Kurdish-led fighters. The army had announced the suspension of military operations. That was over an hour ago. The governor of Aleppo, Azam al-Ghari, was holding a press conference alongside the Minister of Information and the Minister of Social Affairs. All right, Rasul Sardar is live outside the building that was hit in Aleppo. Rasul, I understand you were quite close to that explosion. Tell us what you saw.
Indeed, we were just heading toward Al-Zuhur Strait, which is one of the humanitarian corridors announced by the government for the evacuations of the civilians. And while we were heading there, just here, it was a quite powerful blast, powerful explosion, right, that happened on the governorate building of Aleppo. You can see the building right behind me, and there still you see the higher levels of the building. The wall is black, and that was caused by the drone that was fired by SDF. So this, while that was happening, the governor, Azam al-Ghari, was delivering a live speech here and giving the latest developments and trying to inform the public about what is exactly happening now, not only in Sheikh Maqsoud and Ashrafiyah, where we have seen heavy fightings going on since 4 days, but also across the city as well. And so this is quite a new element, Sami, because since morning on, the fighting is not only contained with Sheikh Maqsoud and Ashrafiyah, but is now spreading to the other parts of the city as well. So a couple of hours ago, SDF has launched 6 drones that were launched for some 60 kilometers away from the city center. And they launched at western Al-Furqan district, which is in western Aleppo. They hit some military posts of the government and also some buildings that the security forces are using. So it has been a couple of hours. Now the security forces are engaging in trying to shut down the drones that are constantly now flying over the city. So you see now an ambulance is just heading toward the governorate building. And just a little ago, firefighters were also heading there. As of now, we do not know whether anyone has been injured or killed. However, soon we are going to get that information. But as I said, this is a new element. Now, the fighting is not just contained by these 2 districts, but it is spreading. And the reason for that is that the SDF started using the drones. So the security forces are engaging in the fight, trying to bring them down, and it is constantly happening now. We are talking about tens of drones. Some of them are surveillance drones, and some are kamikaze drones. So as of now, the origins of these drones is not clear. Who made them, whether they were produced locally or whether they have been purchased from outside of Syria. However, that is a dangerous escalation, because if these drones are fired, if it's confirmed, fired some 60 kilometers away from the city center, from the areas that SDF is still in control, then this will perhaps trigger the fighting to spread over the SDF-controlled areas in the east of Euphrates as well. And that will be another escalation. Just let's remember, since last March, there are talks between SDF and the Syrian government how to integrate SDF fighters into the newly formed Syrian military's ranks. And there has been Americans, Turks, and several other regional and international actors engaged in these mediation efforts, trying to make sure that the things are not going to get out of control. But as the violence here is more and more just intensifying, further intensifying, now the concerns that this fighting will spread to other areas is now solid and and highly likely.
And talk to us a little bit about what exactly appears to be the targets and the strategy here, Rasul.
Well, here, SDF is definitely losing the ground in Ashrafiyeh and Sheikh Maqsoud. So we're talking about over 1,000 fighters. And the government saying that the main body of SDF, actually yesterday, on Friday, has agreed to lay down its weapons, to surrender, and then to be taken on the buses to head toward the east of the country, which is regarded as the mainland of SDF. But the government saying that some of the extremist groups within SDF are rejecting, are obstructing the deal, the agreement, and they are resistant. So still, these groups are hiding in some of the buildings, in some of the tunnels, and from time to time they are coming out and shooting at the security forces over there. That's why sporadic fightings are still happening in Sheikh Maqsoud. However, as they are losing the ground, as the government is further and further getting to the center of this district, Sheikh Maqsoud, now they are spreading the fighting across the other places, saying that, well, if Sheikh Maqsoud is a battleground, if it's not safe, we are definitely going to destabilize the rest of the city as well, and perhaps even rest of Syria. Do they have that capabilities or not? Well, just let's once again note that these drones were fired some 60 kilometers away from Aleppo, and that is the mainland of SDF. And just we know that since 2014 on, SDF has been equipped, has been trained, has been financed by the United States. They have some sophisticated weapons, some advanced weapons. So that's why militarily they have that capability. And that's why this is causing really huge concerns that if that happens, so nowhere will be safe. And it's going to be almost impossible to contain the fighting in small areas.
All right, thanks so much, Rasul Sardar there.